Well, hello, how are you all today? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. I want to talk today. Have you all heard about the people who were just found dead, the people getting away from society? I guess preppers, they considered themselves out in Colorado. They just found their bodies. I want to talk about that. You might have heard it. I saw a headline on it, and then I got into, I finally found a more comprehensive article in the New York Times, of all places, about it. And I'm gonna read that to you, and then I want to talk about it because it really borders on something that I've been meaning to talk about for a little while, and that's what I term prepper paranoia or prepper psychosis, and it is a thing, and I think that some people get dangerously close to it. These people did. So I want to talk about that. Before we get started, remember, I want to remind you that all of my videos are brought to you by the Stonemont series, my series of books, The Complete Guide to Preparing for, Surviving, and Rebuilding After a Total Collapse of Everything, The Reversion, The Revival, The Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, The Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune. Number 7 is in the works. Yes, it is. Hopefully be out this fall. You can get those either through Amazon or through my website, stonemont.us. People have told me this is the best series on preparedness and survival they've ever read. I'll pass that on, and you can have them either through Amazon or through our website, stonemont.us, which the links are down below. Also, speaking of the web, and I just got a whole bunch more in, by the way. We had run out. We keep running out because I just, when we put up the website, I wasn't ready for all of the orders that were going to come in, I'll be honest with you. And it surprised me how many orders came in, because when you order through the website, I get to sign them for you, and I love doing that. Or put in whatever kind of message you want. We have a lot of people buying them as gifts and things. So there's a place for you when you order through the website. It'll say, would you like Steve to write something in there? And you can say to Bob or John or whatever. And I love doing it. Speaking of Stonemont, the Stonemont world, I'm wearing one of the new colors and designs of the Stonemont T-shirts. For those who may not, let me put on my glasses because I'm going to be reading some anyway. For those who may want to get something a little bit lighter than the old military colors, you know, they come in a lot of cool colors. They're all up on the website. What do they come in? Tan, khaki, military green, ash, sage, and a really cool one. Probably our most popular color is one called Royal Pine. But this is a new one that my son picked out for when you don't want to be looking all military-like, you know. I love this. It's washed denim. The color is washed denim, and it's a little different. Of course, it has the tagline, you know, after Stonemont, where life is good. And I really like this design. I really like it. When you want to be out and about, but you don't want to be looking all hardcore, you know, it's really nice. And these T-shirts, by the way, the T-shirts that we got, something else from my son, who discovered this T-shirt company. Well, he likes them, called Next Level. You know, all my life I've worn all the hard, you know, T-shirts, you know, that everybody wears, the harsh material and all that. And we were up in Sturgis just this last year, and Kelly, her older brother, asked her to buy him a T-shirt up there, but he says, get me a soft one. First time I'd ever heard of anybody caring about their T-shirts being soft, because it never occurred to me. And so she found one, and I said, whoa, that feels nice, you know. And you know, if you're like me, you wear the old scraggly, you know, Gildan and Hanes and Fruit of the Loom, and they're kind of scratchy. They get comfortable once you get them sweaty, but you know, they're not that comfortable when you first put them on. These Next Level, they are so comfortable, I can't believe it. It's an upscale T-shirt, but I'll tell you, you'll love it. So anyway, this is the latest design and the latest color available in the Stonemont line. All the colors can be gotten with all of the different designs. So this doesn't just come on this color. You can have this design on another, or you can have any of the others. You can have the alumnus on this. You can have the pine tree on this color. You can have the bar t-shirt on this color. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just come to the website stonemont.us and you'll see them all there along with the books. So I was looking at this situation up there in Colorado. I'll just read you the article and then I'll comment on it. Okay. It says last summer, Rebecca Vance, and it's by Eduardo Medina. I want to give him credit. Last summer, Rebecca Vance talked with her family about a dream she'd had. She wanted to live in a land disconnected from the world, which she viewed as chaotic and dangerous. Well, so far, I mean, we agree with Rebecca, right? I mean, how many of us have those same thoughts? I explained that integrative preparedness is preparing to have the ability to live totally separate from all those external interrelated systems over which we have little or no control. So we're with her. We're with Rebecca on this, right? She told her stepsister, Travala Jara, that she could grow and gather her own food in a remote place. Well, okay, here we go. Grow and gather. That's two different things. Gathering is pretty darn hard. Okay. Her own food in a remote place that she and her teenage son could be happy and safe away from the news, the viruses, the politics of modern day America. Okay. We see some common threads there with most of us. You know, we could be happy away from the news, the viruses, the politics, and all that. But we see that she's starting to slip away into some, you know, this idea. Nothing wrong with growing food. Many of us do, and you should. You should work towards the day that you can grow and raise all of your food. But gathering, that's a whole different thing. So, you know, she probably read a lot of books, maybe magazines, watched some YouTube channels, you know. Okay. I'm going to worry about you, Miss Jarvis told her stepsister, but Miss Vance was resolute. I'm going to live off the land. Okay, she replied. Her decision proved to be fatal. On Tuesday, a coroner said that he had identified 3 bodies that had been found earlier this month in Colorado's Rocky Mountains as those of Rebecca Vance, 42, her 14-year-old son, and her sister, Christine Vance, 41, who Miss Jara said had ventured with them out of concern for their safety, believing an extra set of hands could be useful. The coroner's findings come more than a week after the Gunnison County Sheriff's Office said that the bodies of the campers had been found near Gold Creek Campground, a discovery that drew national attention as officials sought to identify the victims and determine why they had apparently attempted to camp through a brutal winter. This is Colorado in the winter. Michael, you know, which makes you wonder, I don't know if it says in here where they are from, but I mean, if you're from Colorado, you should know that you're not going to sleep in the mountains in a tent. Okay. Michael Barnes, the Gunnison County coroner, said on Tuesday that the family members were all from Colorado Springs and had lived off the grid, survived on canned food, and sheltered in a tent before a harsh winter or malnourishment most likely led to their deaths. The sisters had been discouraged with the state of the world in recent years and had set out last July to permanently live near Gold Creek Campground in western Colorado, Mr. Barnes said. She went for good intentions, Ms. Jara said in an interview Tuesday night. She thought she was protecting her son and our sister Christine because she didn't want them to get wrapped up in what the world was coming to in her eyes. I hope I get back to that because this comes to the danger of separation. There are dangers to separation. I hope I'll remember that. Rebecca Vance's fears intensified during the pandemic, Ms. Jara said, noting that her sister had not believed in conspiracy theories, but had simply been fearful of the world and had trusted that a better life awaited them in nature. Initially, Christine Vance did not plan to go, but she changed her mind because she thought that if she was with them, they had a better chance of surviving. The teenager, whom Miss Jara described as a smart and caring son who had been a mama's boy and had been homeschooled, had felt sad about not being able to see his relatives and friends anymore, but he was also excited to join his mother on the journey. The two sisters and the teacher and the teenager told Miss Jara only that they were going off the grid, but did not share where exactly. Me and my husband, we tried to stop them, Miss Jara said, her voice breaking. Christine and Rebecca Vance and the teenager traveled in a car to a parking space near a hiking trail and then most likely walked the rest of the way to their eventual camping spot, said Miss Jara, who spoke with officials as part of their investigation. The three family members had tried to stay through the winter, but Mr. Barnes said that as heavy snow draped the land around them, they were forced to burn dry sticks and light a fire inside their tent for warmth. They probably died during the winter, Mr. Barnes said. Another sign that they had been struggling under frigid conditions was that they would relieve themselves near a tree just a few feet from their tent. They were cold and not wanting to venture far from the tent, Mr. Barnes said. Otherwise, you'd probably do that elsewhere. Yeah. It is also possible that the sisters and the teenager had died of malnutrition, Mr. Barnes said. The three had lived on soup and other prepackaged items, and their bodies were emaciated. Their campsite was roughly an hour's drive from Gunnison, a small rural community. A hiker found the body of one of the three family members on July 9th, just before 5 p.m., and the authorities arrived the next morning and found the other two bodies. They could not immediately be identified because they were so decomposed. The only food found in their shelter was a single package of ramen. Okay. Miss Jara said that Rebecca Vance had always preferred to be by herself growing up, but she was protective of her family, she said, adding that both her sisters had a heart of gold. She said she hoped that her family's story would prompt others to think twice before choosing to live similar lifestyles off the grid. I know this world is scary, but don't let that fear, that doubt, all of that take over. Those those last two statements are pretty good. First off, living off grid, I mean, many people live off grid, you know, and they do so successfully because of their knowledge, their planning, and doing it right. And this is not your typical off-grid situation. This is the situation of a person who was not prepared, didn't know what they were doing, had allowed themselves to be overcome with fear, with a paranoia of the world. And you know, what Jara said in that last sentence is exactly right. I know this world is scary, but don't let that fear, that doubt, all of that take over. That's exactly right. You know, in the preparedness world, we hear this a lot. There's a broad spectrum of preparedness, from the very responsible to the very strange, if you want my opinion. You know, the people who are afraid of everything, who want to separate themselves from the world entirely, and who have this idealistic idea that they can go out and live in nature and gather berries and you know, live off the land. Obviously, they'd never done it, and you can tell. I mean, the only details I have are what I read in the article. I'll post the article. I'll attach it. For those of you who don't know, who aren't with us on Patreon, and I would suggest you come and join us on Patreon. The link's down below. It's only $1 a month. When I put up these videos on Patreon, then I'll post the article down below so you can read it yourself. This kind of fear of the entire world does, in my opinion, border on, if not completely becomes, a paranoia and a psychosis, which is a separation from reality, a mental separation from reality. And we see too many people who follow these things. It's almost like a death cult, a doomsday cult, you know. But the world is so horrible, I'm going to separate myself from it completely so that I am not touched by it, and my loved ones are not touched by it. Her 14-year-old son died because of her fear of the world, you know. Now, just because he was homeschooled, I mean, there's plenty of people who are out there who are homeschooled, right? And they do extremely well. We homeschooled our oldest for a while. It was our decision to put him back into public schools, which many people will say, well, that's a wrong decision. No, it wasn't. You don't know the situation, and it was good. My children benefit greatly because of the specific school district that we're in. However, there are many, I mean, we know that homeschooled kids do extremely well. I know a lot of them, and they are top-notch kids and top-notch adults now that they've come into it. So it's not the homeschooling, it's not the wanting to live off the grid, it's not the wanting to separate from society, all of which I understand. It's all that coming together in such a way and to such an extent that you're living a paranoid life, you're living a psychotic episode that has come about because, I shouldn't say you, a person, because a person has allowed their fears to drive them to the point to where they're not dealing with reality. And you know, while I mean, such a sad situation this is, and so sad for that 14-year-old boy who didn't have any say in the matter. You know, I wonder, and obviously it was a single mother situation. You know, I don't know, maybe that was better than the situation that was before. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. But we, you know, proper and responsible preparedness is about having a proper view of the world and being able to function in that world while keeping yourself separate from the effects of it. Okay, be in the world, not of the world. You're familiar with that saying? Okay. I mean, Jesus is the one that told us, he didn't tell us to separate from the world. Be in it, but not of it. It's my opinion that when you separate too much from the world, you take yourself away from the opportunities to develop skills to deal with the world. Simple as that, you know. But this is about those people who have taken prepping to such an extreme that it becomes paranoid, it becomes psychotic, and it becomes a danger to them. And, you know, if you, I'm sure you're not like that, but, you know, I do see the occasional comment on here and occasionally on other channels when I check them that are, you know, it seemed to be kind of close to that. If you know people who are kind of like that, you know, try to bring them back from the edge. Yeah, the world, a lot of things in the world suck. A lot of things in the world have always sucked. And there have been those who went off and lived in the mountains and did well if they were one person, a mountain man, and they knew how to survive. Not somebody who thought, I can go out and live on berries and nuts and my canned goods, you know, in a tent in the Colorado Rockies in the winter. So anyway, there is responsible prepping and there is irresponsible prepping. And irresponsible prepping can be life-threatening. And even if it's not life-threatening, it can be life-damaging. That's a point I also want to make. Because the people who get onto that end of the spectrum, they separate themselves so much from the rest of society, and they build up this idea in their head that the rest of society, the whole world is so horrible that they have to stay away from it. They're really disabling themselves and disabling their ability to function well in the society around them and access those many opportunities that are out there in society. Yeah, it's a broken society. It's going downhill all the time, but it doesn't mean that it's, you know, that totally separating yourself from it is the best option. You know, participate in the system to the extent that it's right for you, and not damaging to you. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyway, that's it for today. Remember, Stonemont series available either on Amazon if you want them fast, or through the website stonemont.us if you want them signed. And I love signing them. I love my relationship with my readers, just like I do with my viewers here. Get them while they're out. I got a new bunch in. Join us on Patreon. That link is also down below. And the new t-shirt designs, I really love this one. I really love it. I think I'm going to get this color with the other designs on it too. And these next level t-shirts are so comfortable. If you haven't worn them, you won't believe it. Okay, you all have a great day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.